Hello everybody. It came to my attention earlier today that how to pose avatars in Neos VR is not necessarily common knowledge, so I thought, opportunity for teaching, I shall record a video. And the method of posing avatars that I am going to show is something that I figured out through experimentation, so I don't know if it's how it rates on the scale of a good idea, if it's a good, bad, or indifferent way to pose avatars, but it does work. And just as a side note, at the moment I am simultaneously sleep deprived and over-caffeinated, so if this video is less coherent than usual, that is why. Of course, if it's too bad, I just won't post it. Not that my unscripted videos are ever very coherent. So, under Neos Essentials, I'm just going to pull up the skeleton avatar. Why does the skeleton always spawn so tiny? I can't scale him. Just a second. Let me just reset world scale. There we go. There is a more reasonably sized skeleton. So, obviously the avatars have the inverse kinematics on them, which means, so if you look at the avatar's, feet, as you move it around, the inverse kinematics does calculate, the foot positions and the leg positions, and it walks, but you can't move, like, the head or the hands if you want to pose this avatar here. So if we open up an inspector and examine this avatar, which I guess it would help if you could see what I was seeing. So if you look at the avatar, you have all these head, pelvis, left hand, right hand, and so on proxies. And if we examine this left hand, for instance, there's a target. And that target under the proxy is where the hand will move to. So with the developer tip, you can grab the target and move it, and the hand will go to that position. Or you can grab the target and rotate it, and the hand will, rotate to match the target. And that works for hands and heads. If we look at, say, the left foot down there, and the left foot proxy, and the target, if we move this target, it's not where the foot is, and moving it doesn't do anything. And that's because by default, the avatar only matches targets for the head and the two hands. That's because you have your VR headset and your two controllers. And the other targets are for, basically, if you have full body tracking. So we just have to go into the skeleton, find the VRIK... it is under the VRIK avatar component, which in this case is on the root of the avatar, and it may always be there. If you turn on force use feet proxy, force use pelvis proxy, you can also turn on chest, elbow, and knee if you desire to control those things. Now the feet and the pelvis are going to move to their target positions. So if I go back to that left foot target, you can see now the foot is tracking that target position. So I compose the feet, and I compose the pelvis. And that works if you don't mind using the developer tooltip for everything, but that gets tedious fast. So let me show you what I do to make that a little bit more convenient. Okay, so now, where did you go, camera? You're probably not even seeing what I'm doing, but I made a transparent icosphere, and that's going to be the target for, not the target, the thing that lets you grab and move the joints around. So, if you come back to my viewpoint for a minute, so you can see what I'm doing, I have this flat sphere, and I am going to have it control this left hand. So I take the flat sphere, put it under the left hand target, and I do that so that I can go in here and hit reset position and reset rotation. So it's the same position and rotation as the target, and then I just swap them. So the target is a child of flat sphere. And what that gives us is this very convenient, well, you have to not grab the skeleton, this very convenient way to now position the skeleton's hand, both rotation and position. And I will do that for all of the other joints, except that I'm going to quickly set up a thing here so I can I can't talk tonight, so I can toggle these blue movement things off so that once we're done posing the avatar, we can make these all disappear. And so here, you know, camera, it would look better if you were looking at what I'm doing instead of looking through the inspector here. All right. Is that a little bit better? Back to our flex here. There. These. Okay, so now, if you look at this, if I toggle the pose mode enabled, that turns the grabbable and the mesh renderer off and on. Now when I hit the checkbox, I jump into the skeleton. That is not the intention. Yes, the little sphere turns on and off. Okay. That's better. So, now that I have a working checkbox, I can duplicate this flat sphere because I'm going to need left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot, head, pelvis. Head and pelvis will be bigger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one, 2. 5 should be on the lower side. So pelvis. Head, pelvis, left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot. Position, position. All right, now we have a fully posable skeleton. If you would look that direction for a moment. Oops. Did I zoom you in when I grabbed the camera? Okay. So, you can grab the body of the skeleton to move the whole thing. Yeah, angle, whatever. Grab this to move the head of the skeleton, including the tilt of the head. You can see the inverse kinematics for everything that we're not directly controlling is still working. Yeah, grab these ones to move the hands around. If you can. Maybe I need to make these a little bigger. Shoot. Grab the hips. Move the hips. The rotation of the hips doesn't do a lot in that direction, but obviously it does in this direction. Just, get it where you want. We can go down and move the feet. Maybe. I should have made these just a little bit bigger. Let's see. If he's standing on 1 foot, that 1 foot has to be underneath the center of mass, right? So something there. There is a rather poorly posed skeleton. I have no idea what he's doing. And then I can just hit this checkbox. If I can do it without... it wants to equip the avatar. I think I might have to move the checkbox outside of the avatar. Okay. Now I can hit the checkbox, and all the pose things go away, and we just have a avatar standing there in a certain pose. Now, let's see. What else? What else should I do here? I know. I'll show you how you can control the dynamic bones, too. I mean, given that, like, 85% of all avatars in Neos have tails, that might be useful. So, apparently our skeleton needs a tail if I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm just going to use my dynamic chain builder. Somewhere here, if I can find it in my inventory. Okay. Okay, that's better. Now we'll give the skeleton a very unrealistic straight tail. I duplicated the wrong thing. Try this again. I'm going to take the flat sphere, duplicate that, take the flat sphere, put it under the posable skeleton. This one I'm going to rename to tail target. And the tail target I'm going to move somewhere towards the end of the tail here. If I go to the dynamic chain, dynamic bone chain, which should be here, yes. You take the effector target and drop the tail target in the effector target, and then you set the bone index to whichever bone you want to move to the target, like say 5, or let's say 4. You can see that bone is moving to the target. Probably in most situations you set the index to the last bone, so the end of the tail moves to where you want it. And that is how you can pose dynamic bones, dynamic bone chains. I want to show you that these targets that the hands and feet and hips and head are moving towards do not have to be located within this avatar's hierarchy. They can target something in the world such that those will stay attached to a fixed position or to some other object. I'm going to take the right hand flat sphere, which is also controlling the target because the target is underneath it. I'm going to drop that under my own left hand, and you can see the skeleton's hand is now tracking my hand. So we are holding hands here. And I can still move this, if I grab the right thing, I can still move that relative to my hand. I mean, obviously, this looks slightly awkward, but our hands are now moving together. Now can I grab it? Okay, I didn't break it too badly. Bear with me here, I'm just figuring this out. So if I step up close to Mr. Skeleton... Okay, now the skeleton's moving with me. Good, good. Now if I take its right hand and parent that to my right hand, there we go. Okay, there. Now I can dance with Mr. Skeleton. This would look better if I actually knew how to dance, but, you know, I've got no idea how to dance, so it's just a silly thing. Now I need to get the skeleton detached from me again. Go away. Let go. Move away. Now, another interesting thing that you can do with these targets is you can use logix to animate them. So, for example, if I look at the enter here, where's that? This is the, what do you call it, for this exterior dimension, and using like, for example, T to sign. Actually, I'm not going to move the flat sphere. I'm going to move the target that's inside it so that I don't have to worry about getting the right position, because it's just an offset from 0 if I do it this way. So T assigned to and 1 is possibly too much. Yes, 1 is way too much. And and Y was not the direction I wanted anyway. I think I wanted him to look forwards and backwards, which would be X. Let's say it's sine times 1/10 as much, driving the X. Nope, that's still not it. I wanted the Z. Well, I wanted the Z, but you know, that works okay. He's too slow, obviously. So we'll just take T times, I don't know, 5. Speed it up 5 times. So I don't know what Mr. Skeleton is doing here, but he is animated. Interestingly enough, that sideways motion makes the tail go crazy. But you can see that even though the head is moving, all the other targets are still staying where we put them. So the hands are, you know, staying in position, and the IK is calculating what it needs to do to make the other bones match between the moving head and the static hands. I think he needs to be moving his head in 2 dimensions, though. That isn't quite what I was intending. I was thinking more like a circular motion. But you get the idea. It's possible to animate a skeleton by driving the targets like this. Now, something I haven't tried is I'm going to put a spinner on this object and then make the right hand target a child of the spinner. Oh. Okay. I should have expected that. Hand is moving, but I wanted it to keep facing one global direction, so that wasn't quite what I wanted. That looks painful. Yes, that does not look comfortable at all. I'm sorry, I don't know what this is doing, but it looks very uncomfortable, that's for sure. I'm just going to leave it that way. Now, where does tail go? I want his tail to be held in that hand too. So I have no idea what we're looking at here. Skeleton with tail, and it's just doing something astronomically improbable with its wrist there. But the point was that you can use logix to animate avatars using the targets, including moving dynamic bone chains.